Some videos, I sit down and I'm a little extra juiced to be talking about a new update or maybe a new game. Other times, I get a little extra snarky or even angered, like when I'm tracking down another studio trying to scam gamers. And just being upfront and honest with you, this one's going to fall somewhere in between those two. So buckle up. Welcome to the channel. This is LtBuzzLitebeer, and the Democracy Space Station is live and doing its thing over on Mastia, and that's the problem. I'm not going to hold back with this one, and it feels like Arrowhead just threw something together last minute. Never gave it a minute of testing or QA and just shipped it, hoping for the best. But instead of just shit posting all over the DSS, I've also got some suggestions for fixing it. So it's a bit of a total downer mixed in with a positive spin, if you get my drift. Remember to hit subscribe and ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts, and both really help this video and channel get promoted in the YouTube algorithms. And let's get into the latest from Helldivers and the DSS. This is going to be brief, but today's Superstore is a 2-day reset, currently showing the lightweight Legionnaire body armor with servo-assisted, the Legionnaire helmet, the looks like Cade from Destiny Drone Master helmet, and the medium armor Drone Master set with engineering kit for reduced recoil and +2 throwables. Okay, are you ready? Let's get into it. This Destructoid headline pretty much sums it all up right now. Helldiver 2's new DSS isn't working out. They go on to say, the Democracy Space Station was one of the most exciting new developments in Helldivers 2's ongoing galactic war, a potent semi-mobile enhancement platform that can buff Helldivers wherever they go. Sure sounds great, but it's a bit of a wet noodle in practice. Worse, even as it's downright punishing. After now just coming off of Mastia on Super Helldive difficulty, where we completed a full bot campaign, I've now been baptized by fire. My eyes have been opened, and so I'm not just going to be dropping some headlines without proper context. The planetary bombardment effect the DSS rains down, and by the way, I'm not exaggerating when I say that, it rains down, has to be one of the worst design choices Arrowhead has ever made. And that's the end of that sentence. Now, I know from the survey that I posted earlier this morning, almost half of you polled haven't had time to play this yet, so for those of you who have, humor me while I paint this picture for those that haven't. Imagine if a Chaos Diver or an automaton got behind the gunner seat of one of those Super Destroyer 380 Trader Barrages and just started haphazardly dropping 380s down onto the planet's surface. And this isn't just one barrage, or maybe like a barrage every 5 minutes. No, this is non-stop barrages, just blam, blam, blam for nearly 40 minutes straight. And as far as I can tell, my first theory here was that Arrowhead was going to use the Meteor shower mechanics and just kind of coat it in a 380 paint job. Well, I was wrong. This is far, far worse. Again, from what we were seeing during our dives, this thing is a 380s Trader Barrage, you know, that stream of shells that comes raining down when you go AWOL from the combat zone, and it just keeps firing and firing until it kills you. Well, this planetary bombardment is exactly that, but instead of getting triggered by someone leaving the combat zone, it seems to target just a random Helldiver and just starts raining down these wild 380s with no rhyme or reason. I'm sure someone out there is going to try to correct me in the comment section. Well, actually, Buzz, if you study the patterns and the amount of time between the shells of the bombardment, yeah, listen here, buddy. None of that matters when you're trying to storm an automaton command bunker to complete the freaking objective. You've got 10 zillion dropships coming in, Hulks, Devastators, Factory Striders, tanks everywhere, and this random 380 bombardment just kicks up again straight on top of your head. It's hitting divers, it's blowing stuff up all around you, and even occasionally hitting enemy targets, and I'm not going to lie, for that split second when it connects with an enemy target, it's absolutely epic. I've now witnessed it hitting a Factory Strider and breaking it in two, and also, while I was attacking a dual gunship factory, one of the shells seems to have hit a gunship that had me pinned down, and it just turned it to mush. But these instances are few and far between, because the other 95% of the time, you're going to hear through your headphones, "Oh, come on," when one of your fellow divers is hit with a shell and crushed. I'm going to try to circle back to all of this in a moment because I just need to take a deep breath and press pause. And we also need to talk about the situation with the community feedback. And this has escalated insanely quick. And you aren't going to believe some of the posts I'm going to show you. And we've also seen things escalate quickly on multiple social media fronts. Here, just check out some of these Reddit posts to get a sense for how the community is responding to the DSS. Here's one with an automaton applying for and being accepted as an orbital gunner for the DSS, which at this point, I guess all you can do is laugh about it. Here's one that says, the DSS does nothing but team kill you. Honestly, this is kind of insulting. They go on to say 2 months for this well thought out feature that just bombs you. Here's a much longer post with a lot more thoughts here titled, Guys, the DSS is bad. Here's some more comedy. Never donate everything ever again. And the text on the photo is Peter is just trying to run away from the danger. Reads, don't donate for orbital bombardment. Worst mistake of my life. More humor with the parrot saying DSS Barrage is just a reskinned meteor shower. And an interesting suggestion laced with anger here. Vote to move the DSS back to Gaellivare so the bots can destroy it. If Arrowhead wants folks to quit again, the DSS is exactly what the game needed. And on a side note, I've even seen suggestions saying things like, if you don't like it, just pick another planet, dive over there, which is something that has now been taken away from us because with this shiny piece of democracy spreading thunder now in orbit around an enemy planet, we're stuck there. We either keep pushing on Mostia and get the job done, or possibly lose 3 or more months of blood, sweat, and tears by just letting the bots have the DSS for scrap. And one final one here, and this is definitely an interesting question. Did a single dev try to play with orbital bombardment? Did they? You know, I'm not so sure they did, because if they had tried this thing out, they would have been constantly ragdolled and blown to bits. And you know, maybe the first dozen times that happened, they would have chuckled, but after that, those smiles would have been wiped off their faces, and they would have looked around at each other and said, this sucks. But somewhere, somehow, somebody said, ship it, which absolutely blows my mind. You know, Arrowhead spent 6 months slowly strangling their game, scaring off like, 95% of its total player base. Then they took another 60 plus days saving the game, bringing it not only back, but playing better now than it did at launch. And then they just plopped this on us. Who thought that dropping nonstop Trader 380s down onto the planet for 40 minutes straight was a game changer? In fact, I would argue it is a game killer. It kills the flow and pace of the gaming. And the thing that blows my mind about this is that we divers paid for this chaos. Think about that. We paid for it. We spent untold amounts of hours, divers lost, bullets fired, grinding for nearly 3 months straight to build this damn thing, and then we had to power it up again, so we spent even more with our own samples just so it could rain shit down on us for hours nonstop. As expected, the official Helldivers Discord has been on fire, just fully ablaze. Players are naturally pissed, and apparently Arrowhead was getting so much negative feedback, they implemented a bot response, and this is what I hinted at earlier. You've just got to listen to this thing. Here's what it says. We understand your frustrations, divers. If you don't like the DSS, we have feedback forms that you can go in depth rather than break server guidelines to get your point across. It's really just comments that aren't necessary. You can discuss DSS and what you don't like about it freely, but keep things civil and respect others. There's constructive criticism and then straight up toxicity, which I do agree with some of the points in there, but still, this next part is just over the top. Can we move on, please? The DSS is discussed everywhere. The topic is already known to the devs. There's not much point in repeating the same thing over and over again in a heat. If you want to criticize or make suggestions on how to implement things, go fill the feedback form or discuss it without degrading commentary towards other Helldivers, developers, or staff, as it's against the server rules. I'm not going to try to get too worked up over this one, but whoever wrote this response should have their keyboard and mod privileges revoked, and I don't often say that. Considering what's going on in game, this reads like, Yeah. Stop your bitching. Stop your whining. We know. Deal with it. We'll get back to you. Again, 3 months of grind time to get blasted to dust every 30 seconds. Expectations and hopes have been completely shredded, and you, Arrowhead, think this is the response you want to give off. Really? Really? It looks like the devs have already seen what their untested buff, which is actually a debuff versus the Helldivers, is amounting to, and I can report that at least on Mostia, we were seeing both a free orbital gas strike and the shield gen relay being awarded before you ever dove in. So if there is a ray of hope in all of this, they can see whatever this version of the DSS they gave us is not sitting well with the players. But again, this is only a temporary measure. So how are they going to fix it? Well, first off, they need to disable this orbital bombardment as quickly as possible, like right now. And I don't even want to speculate on what that Eagle Strike package would actually look like. And by the way, I also wanted to mention that it has been confirmed you can only have one effect active at a time. So for instance, you can't get the DSS orbitals and the Eagle Strike packages going at the same time, which, by the way, makes me shudder at what kind of chaos that would look like. Next, and since our Death Star is nothing but a mobile stat boosting stick, give divers passives that actually benefit them and are consistent, like a 20% damage modifier for this type of weapon, or just all weapons. 30% more ammo, 50% faster cooldowns would actually be a great passive. 50% more uses on orbitals and eagles. Instead of 5 volleys on the 380 napalm, maybe make it 7. Faster call-in times. Since the DSS is literally up in the sky above our heads, how about free jump packs? Tighter spread on barrages. How about unveiling a new or experimental version of a weapon that can only be used and tested when the DSS is in orbit above you? How about better armor buffs, like 25% more damage resistance just across the board? I mean, literally anything you can find in the game is better than have this wild spread and sheer chaos of having the Trader 380s randomly select a diver and just rain down shells for 40 minutes straight. I mean, heck, here's another one. How about 50% more fire damage from all sources, again, while the DSS is in orbit? These are all things that could help motivate divers to want to have the DSS protecting their backs instead of trying to put a bullet in them. Again, I'm enjoying the hell out of the game. I don't want you to get the wrong impressions here. And like I said earlier, outside of whatever the hell this DSS thing is doing right now, the base game plays better now than it did at launch. But Arrowhead, you only get one chance to make a great first impression. And this orbital bombardment has done everything but make a great first impression. Also, I know it's the weekend, and I'm not for devs coming in on Saturdays. I'm not for crunch, but in this specific case, it needs to be all hands on deck. Bring everyone in, and you need to get this thing reversed, because the absolute worst thing you can do as a studio is shut down for the weekend, come back in on Monday, maybe have some meetings, start adjusting things on Tuesday, have more meetings, etc., etc., and pretty soon, you've got a review bomb incoming. It's been 2 weeks, and you finally come out and announce the studio is taking the next 30 days to try to help sort it all out. Normally, I would have a bit of a lead into your top 3 comments, to hype it up a little bit. It's a big deal, but considering the tone and subject matter of today's video, and the fact that I don't want to deny these 3 their time to shine, let's just get straight into it. In the one spot is Jester Actual, who says, I love HD2. 2 months. 2 whole months of grinding through major orders to build a super weapon just to be handed a couple passives that we might get if people donate enough. I know something good will be done eventually, but I feel like they have had plenty of time to cook with this campaign. I can't add anything to that one. You're absolutely correct. And the 2 spot is NJ the Awesome with quite a bit of a long one here. It says, I just got done with a mission on Super Helldive. We lost most of our reinforcements because of the random orbital barrages. I get that the station will target close to us, but I did not expect it to literally target me and the rest of the team. I swear, 90% of our reinforcements were lost to the barrage in the first 15 minutes. Even during evac, one of our teammates, seconds after calling him in, was actually directly hit by one of the shells and ragdolled me in front of a Hulk. My friend and I barely completed the mission and somehow evac'd with our reinforcements on cooldown for more than 10 minutes. After that mission, we were done playing because we were just so disappointed. Don't get me wrong. I do think it's cool, and I get that it's going to be dangerous and dying too is inevitable, but we never knew where the shells would land. If they did the simple task of showing a laser, same as one for the regular 380 barrages, we'd know what area to avoid and would have led to far less casualties. They need to upgrade the station so that it's not firing like a small child playing COD. I like that statement there. By now, the Eagle Strike feature should be active, and I don't even want to know how bad that'll be. Luckily, you can't overlap those two. He finishes with, the only good feature the DSS has is the free booster, and that's not going to activate for the next few hours. All excellent points here, and congrats on making the number 2 spot. In the 3 spot is Noah Bolin 5462, who says, I wish we could actually enter the DSS. That would have been a nice change in scenery. We could host meetings with clans there, and I know that's an entirely different discussion and topic that I don't want to touch on in today's video, but I know that a lot of you had your hopes up based on those leaks that clans would be coming with the DSS. Of course, they were not. I know a lot of you were hoping for just social spots where a bunch of just random divers could get together. That was not implemented, so a lot has gone wrong with the DSS implementation, and a lot of features that I think players were looking forward to never made it. Anyways, thanks for listening. This was a bit cathartic for me today. I mean, I love this game, that much is evident. I love that it came back from the ashes, and I hate to see squandered chances, especially when they seem half-baked, half-prepared, and really should have never made it into the game. Remember to hit subscribe and to ring that notifications bell so you never miss one of my future upload alerts. All my socials, including links to all of today's sources, can be found in the video description. Somewhere last night, we passed over 248,000 channel subscribers. That's right, we are less than 2,000 total subs away from the peak, 250K. If you haven't yet done so, hit subscribe. We'd love to have you along the ride as we make that last little push up to that milestone. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer. Keep your chins up, divers. Signing off.